Today we're going to do some more curve sketching where we are given characteristics about a graph. So for number 1, sketch a graph with the given characteristics. We've got f of negative 2 equals 2, f of 0 equals negative 1, and f of 1 equals 0. And then we have got this chart telling us about f prime, so where it's increasing for positive, decreasing for negative. And then f double prime, the second derivative, tells us about the concavity, so concave up where it's positive, concave down where it's negative. So the first thing I'm going to do on my graph is graph the points that they give me. Okay. So this is just a way of telling us we have the ordered pair negative 2, 2. So this is our f of x, so this is always the x value. That's always the y value. So I'm going to graph negative 2, 2. Then I've got 0, negative 1. And then 1, 0. Okay. So what these 3 points do is they split up the graph into 4 sections. So I'm just going to divide it up. It just kind of helps me like draw each piece of the graph. You do not have to draw these lines if you don't want to. Okay. So then I'm going to go through my chart here. Okay. So before negative 2, the f prime is positive. So that means I'm actually going to write it down here so I have a little more room. So it's increasing in this section and it's concave up. Okay. Then between negative 2 and 0, so that would be this section of the graph, it is decreasing and still concave up. So that the curve part is going to look like the bottom part of the circle. Then between 1 and 0, both are positive, so this tells us increasing, this tells us concave up. Okay. And then from 1 on, that's this section, it is increasing because our f prime is positive, but now f double prime is negative, so that's going to tell me concave down. So then I'm just going to look at this little chart to figure out how each section should look. So our quadrants kind of split this circle up into 4 sections. So remember the top half of the circle, so this part right here that opens down, this is the concave down part. The bottom part, the part that opens up, is the concave up. Okay. Then this part here, we're always looking from left to right. So this part here is increasing. This side is decreasing because it's going down from left to right. Okay. This part from left to right is decreasing, where this part from left to right is increasing. Okay. So you're just going to go section by section and draw the right part of the graph, or the correct part of the graph in that section. Okay. So if I look here, I'm looking for the part of the graph that's increasing and concave up, which is this little section right here. Okay, so from here, I'm going to draw something like that. Okay, so this part is curved like the bottom part of a circle, and it's increasing from left to right. Sometimes it helps me to just draw the increasing part, so draw like a line with a positive slope, and then look at the concavity. So since it's concave up, I know it should be curved like that, below that little dashed line. Then for the second part, it's decreasing, so it's going to be going this direction, and it obviously has to go that way to connect the 2 points, and it's still concave up, so that's going to look like this part. Okay, so connecting these, since it's concave up, it would have to be curved below that line connecting the 2. Okay. Then here, this is increasing, so going up and still concave up, so it's going to look like that. So it's still going to be curved like the bottom part of the circle. And then this last one is increasing, but concave down. So it'll look like this. It's going to be going up from left to right, but it's going to be curved like the top part of the circle. Okay. And I'm just going to go ahead and label my max, mins, and points of inflection. So remember, max and mins are where the increasing, decreasing changes. So at -2, it changes. So I can see this is a maximum point. It's a high point. At 0, it changes from negative to positive. So I can see right here, this is a minimum. Okay. At 1, it doesn't change from increasing to decreasing. So 1 is not a max or a min. But the concavity changes at 1. So that makes this a point of inflection. Now let's go ahead and look at another example. So this time they haven't given us a table. They've given us a bunch of inequalities about the first derivative and second derivative. Okay. And they've still given us 3 points. So what we're going to have to do here is make our own table. Okay, so I've got my 3 points, and I'm going to use this information here to make a table like they had right here. Okay, so the numbers that we put right here in the table are the x values. So the x values they gave me are -1, +1, and 3. Or you can look at the x values in the inequality. So I'm going to have -1, +1, and 3. Okay. So they go there. You're always going to have a little part after each of them. So then we're going to look at f prime, and we're going to look at f double prime. Okay. So if I look here, it says f prime is less than 0, which means it's negative. Anytime x is less than -1. So that would be to the left of -1. So that section is going to be negative. So I automatically know the rest of this is going to be positive. Okay, but if I want to check, I can look here. So f prime is greater than 0, meaning it's positive when x is greater than 1. So that means, or greater than -1. So that means from -1 and on. Then we're going to look at this inequality for the double second derivative. So it's less than 0, so negative, between these two numbers. So between -1 and 3, it's going to be negative. Therefore, we know it's positive everywhere else. Okay, so this second part is kind of not needed. But you can always use it to check if you're not sure you got this part right. So if I look here, they tell me it's positive when it's less than 1, so that would be 1 and to the left. So both of those sections would be positive. And when it's greater than 3, so to the right of 3. So we've made our little table here. Then I'm going to go ahead and graph the points that they give me. So I've got -1, -3. One comma 0 from this one, and then 3, 2 from this one right here. Okay. And again, that's going to go ahead and split up my graph into 4 sections. Okay. And so for this part right here, this is the part less than -1. That's this section right here. So I know that section is decreasing and concave up. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just real quickly draw this. Okay, so we know concave down. This side is increasing. That side is decreasing. Both of these are concave up. This side is increasing. This side is decreasing. So I want the decreasing concave up part. So that's going to be this one. Okay, so I have to be going down to get to this point. So I'm going like this, and since it's concave up, I want to be curved like the bottom part of the circle. So I'm going to draw this part like this. Since it's an ending piece, I'm going to put an arrow. Okay, this part here is obviously going to have to be increasing, and I can look, it's increasing and concave up. So that would be this part here. I'm going to make this a little more curved. So you want to make sure it doesn't look like a line. So if I were to like draw a line like that, I need to make sure I'm curved below it for concave up. Okay. Then between 1 and 3, I'm increasing still, but now I'm concave down. Okay, so that's going to be this part here. So if I have a line right here, concave down would be curved above it. So I need to make sure that if I were to have a line drawn right there, that I can clearly tell this is curved above it. And then this last section is increasing and concave up again. So that's going to be this part here. So from here, I'm just going to go like that. And then I can see I only have one extrema. This is the only place f prime changes. So all I have is a minimum right here. I don't have any other extrema because it doesn't change anywhere else. But here the concavity changes 2 places. So at 1, I have a point of inflection, and also at 3. Now let's look at one last example. So here they've given us the graph of f of x. We want to fill in the table and identify any extrema and points of inflection. So I'm going to just do f prime first. So remember, f prime tells us increasing, decreasing. So you just want to trace it from left to right. Okay, you can see you're going up here, so that means increasing, so it's positive. Then from 2 to 0, you're still going up, so positive. But then from 0 to 2, you're going down, so that would be negative. And then from 2 on, you're still going down, so that one will also be negative. Then for f double prime, that's going to tell us concave up or concave down. Okay, so remember, concave up is positive, concave down is negative, like increasing is positive, decreasing is negative. So concave up, that looks like the bottom part of the circle. Okay, so if you're ever not sure, I just draw a line connecting those so I can see this is curved like the bottom part of the circle, meaning it's concave up. Okay. Then from these 2 points, it's curved above it, which is like how the top part of a circle is curved, which is concave down, meaning it's negative. This part too is also curved like the top part of the circle. Okay, so it's also concave down. Then this last part is curved like the bottom part of a circle, which opens up, meaning it's concave up, which is positive. Then from here, they ask us to identify extrema, which are our max and our mins. Since they don't ask for the coordinates, we can just write x equals. So I can see here's going to be my only extrema, because this is the only place f prime changes. Okay, so it goes from increasing to decreasing, so I can see that's a high point. So I'm going to have a max at x equals 0. Okay. But the concavity changes 2 places, so I'm going to have 2 points of inflection. I'm going to have one here at -2 and one here at +2. So my points of inflection are going to be x equals positive and -2.